This is a response to Mel's a Basket case. This is my first video response that I'm posting on YouTube, and I posted one other video to my family blog, but this is the first video response, and I just wanted to say that identity theft really makes me angry too. Because what happened to me was they were taking out $9.95 every month from my bank account, and the amount was so small that I didn't realize it. So like 4 or 5 months later, I checked my statement one time and I seen that they were taking it out, and so I went down to the bank personally, and I put a hold on my account, and I had them call the 1-800 number that was attached to the withdrawal, and they found out that it was a fictitious number, and so they were able to trace it down. And then my bank, because I had identity theft protection on the account, is something new they started. Lucky for me, I was reimbursed the money. So that's another thing that possibly you could look into, is to get identity theft protection on some of your accounts, and on, if you own any credit cards, on some of your credit cards and things like that, which a lot of credit cards automatically have nowadays. You'll be protected from charges. And I did watch your whole video, 22 minutes and 58 seconds, I believe it was. And I read quite a bit about mental health issues, mostly from the point of view of criminology. And I know that you've mentioned that, and you feel that sometimes the mental issue comes into play in court hearings and things, where people use that as an excuse, and I fully believe that. And a lot of times it's a hard choice to actually know if a person is mentally ill, as far as when they're being charged, or just using that as an excuse. But I think there's better ways of proving that today than there has been in the past. There's a really cool sociologist. His name is Park Dietz, and he advises in criminal trials to determine if people are in fact mentally ill or not. And some of the techniques that he used are really interesting and really legitimate. And I think that most of the times that people who claim to be mentally ill and in fact are, sometimes are charged correctly. I'm not saying all the time, but I would say most of the time it's gotten a lot better. One of the cases that I was really upset about was the Andrea Yates case, where she pleaded that she was mentally ill. However, personally, I didn't think she was, and this guy, Park Dietz, thought so, that she was not mentally ill. However, he ended up messing up the trial, because the defense was saying that possibly she's seen an episode of Law and Order, and that she got the idea from that, and therefore it was a copycat crime from the TV show, and she killed the children. However, he believed, however, in reality, the show never aired prior to the crimes. But however, Andrea Yates got a retrial, because he made the mistake of saying that he thought that the Law and Order. At any rate, and she was found innocent of those crimes. But it's all an opinion. And another one, the identity theft thing. You can go on to some websites, some government websites, and possibly get your credit score. And a lot of them, if you feel that you have been a victim of identity theft, allow you to periodically check out your credit rating and your credit monitoring, which is very important, because if somebody charges something, you know it right away, and you can dispute that on your credit report, and you can do something about it. And I know that for some people it's very overwhelming, and you're not the only one that's gotten ripped off. Thousands of people have gotten ripped off by lowlifes like this, and thousands of people have become very angry, and it is a very big hassle, because the time I got ripped off, I didn't have a whole lot of money. I was working part-time at a potato chip factory, and I had to pay rent and student loans and all kinds of stuff. So I know what it's like to not have a lot of money and feel that you're being taken advantage of. My car's muffler fell off. I had bald tires, and at that point it was like in the middle of winter, and I remember I had something like 180,000 miles on my one car, and it needed this really expensive sensor, and so I didn't have the money to get it put in, so I had to borrow money from the bank, and my dad had a cosign, and it was just a big mess, and I wish I could have paid for it myself, but at any rate, it's just a big hassle to everybody that's been through that, because it doesn't stop there. It just goes on and on and on, because years later somebody could be going through your garbage and find something. So it's good to be very safe, and I would not mail any important information through the mail at all. And that paper you have, I would not sign it. I would not send it back. I would go call your bank and have I believe you mentioned Rob, go down there and talk to them, because maybe they do have identity theft reimbursement, and they will, the bank itself will go after and prosecute identity thieves, because people like this, people like the identity thieves, cost banks thousands and thousands of dollars to come back. So here I am to finish up the video and the response. A lot of times it's really hard to find out on what they can do, and a lot of times banks and credit card companies and stores will ask people who are purchasing items with credit cards for identification, which is the best thing that they can do. A lot of times people can just go in and swipe, but nowadays you need a license or something like that if you're buying large purchases. And what banks, a lot of banks do today is if they see a large amount of money flowing out of an account, they will stop it, and they will call you personally and ask you if you made these charges. I've known friends of mine who have charged, say they went Christmas shopping all in one day, charged $500 or $600. The bank will stop the payments, which is a big hassle anyways, but it's safer. And call them and say, hey, did you make these charges, and are these charges authorized? And so that's another safety precaution that banks have taken. And as far as I'm concerned, like as far as bringing these people to justice, I believe that more people are brought to justice because there are better ways of tracking this kind of identity theft. And even though it's more rampant, the government will force people to put some kind of precautions into place as far as money institutions, because they're the ones that take the biggest hit, and the poor people take the biggest hit. And unfortunately, that's just the way the world is. And however, it's good to be strong and go after and correct this kind of problem quickly, because if you just ignore it, it's not going to go away, and your credit will be ruined, and it'll just get bigger and bigger. But that's pretty much all I have to say, and good luck to you, and I hope everything turns out okay, and have a good day.